Okay, it's on air. So let me make sure this tweeted out and we can begin to talk about this. Actually, I shouldn't say really this because there's not a whole lot for me to talk about. I'm pretty much just doing this stream just to say that I've done something in the past week for my fucking channel. Because unfortunately, I haven't had a lot of time, and over the weekend, and by weekend I pretty much mean yesterday and today, I have been pretty much just playing the shit out of Grand Theft Auto Online, expecting to be banned and then never banned. So I carried on playing. Unfortunately, I had some fucking cocksucker give me 4.5 million when I didn't want it to happen. But I'm hoping that they take the money away from me and don't ban me because, yeah, I was just on Sargon's stream. That was why I was late. I just want to make sure that this tweeted out because I don't believe it did. Give me 1 second. No, it didn't. I don't know why it didn't. Let me tweet this stream, and we can begin. So for those of you that are already here, that are already watching, go ahead and take a look around. If you have any stories or anything that you'd like me to cover, find that really quick and send it my way, and we can discuss it. To tweet this out, and I'm currently streaming. All right. Now that that's out, so yeah, unfortunately, I haven't really done much in terms of work outside of set up a few things for the future. I got back on DeviantArt, and I will likely be looking around for a artist, possibly one that I've commissioned in the past, to create some new art for my channel. Although for now it'll just be a little bit; it won't be a lot. And I've also been messing with Patreon, and that's pretty much good to go. It's just going to be a matter of when I decide to pull the trigger on it. And for right now, I'm just going to hold off on it until I actually have, I would say, a 10K video that I can justify that addition of Patreon. Then I'll introduce it and go from there. I will say really quickly to anyone that may have missed it, I just today uploaded, or rather edited, the descriptions of the video that I put on Minds with the Hillary Clinton thing. That has all the links now, and so does the video that I did on Will Ripley. That now has all the links in case anyone was curious. I just wanted to let you guys know that in case anyone fucking gave a shit about that fact. Okay, so I don't go on Tumblr for art commissions. I'd rather just go on DeviantArt. So yeah, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot to report on. There's not a whole lot going on. I don't really know if I want to get into the content that I'd like to talk about in a video, just because you know, that's going to be content that I'm going to use in the near future. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think if I have an article that we can discuss that I am not going to use. Let me look through my links very quickly to see if that's the case. I likely do have something here that I won't discuss. No, those are all pretty good. All pretty good. Maybe this one, even though I cite this one, maybe we can talk about this article, even though it's kind of old and there's nothing really to this. Just as an introduction, I guess we can talk about this just to have something to talk about. So let me get my link up, and then I will share my screen. Because I don't think that this article is particularly awful. It is awful, but it's just not outside the norm of what we would see. And I actually, we could actually tie this in to something else. So I saw this article floating around, and if you are, used to the idea, whoa, excuse that noise. If you're used to the issues that we have in gaming with people making a big deal about people being included into gaming. I mean, this is kind of a run-of-the-mill article that you'll be accustomed to stumbling across. There really is nothing to it. It goes through all the same arguments that we've heard all the time. But it's amazing to me that this sort of thing has gone on for so long and people just accept it at face value in terms of lecturing people what they're allowed to say, how they're allowed to behave, what the industry needs to do, that there are people being kept out, that conventions need to change to include people that are not straight white men, whatever. And actually, let me link to this because I'm not sure if I'm going to do a video on this or not. Let me find the article that I was actually going to reference into this. And actually, I don't think this is the one. Okay, yeah, this is the one. I'm not sure if I'll ever, so I guess I can mention it here. You have this like forum dialogue that happened at Pew Research where they talk about the fact that social media and interaction in general, communication, is full of trolls. It's full of people that are saying things that ultimately other people don't like. And there's this immediate conflation between somebody calling in a SWAT team to SWAT your house, somebody, telling you that they're going to come to your house and kill you, and somebody saying that you're a cunt. I mean, we all know about this conflation at this point. It's very understood at this point. But it's amazing to me that if you look at this kind of ridiculous article from Bitch Media, from some fucking tranny that doesn't pass, and you have this like actually reputable organization, they're both talking about the same things. And they both come to the same conclusions. And the same scumbag ideologues dominate the conversation for both. Despite the fact that one is some fucking rag by some nobody. I mean, the Sam Rydell person is a fucking nobody. And then you have like major intellectuals from huge universities at one of the most recognized and well-respected think tanks in the country. And they're saying the exact same fucking things. Being anonymous, anonymity is an issue. We need to remove it, not for the left, not for the ideologues, not for the Bay Area moralists. They get to have anonymity, and it's amazing because it's one of the things that you stumble across in this is that several people involved in this that are social justice ideologues, they become anonymous in this report. They don't use their names. They they don't actually say who they are. And there's actually one who's a journo for Wired. Let me find it. There's a bunch of people in here that are anonymous that are social justice ideologues. Let me find. Here we go. Anonymously, a futurist writer and author at Wired. And it's just the same shit. It's, well, we need to censor people. We need to take away people's speech. We need to no platform these people and prevent them from having any ability to talk about what they believe. Even if it is somebody going out there saying, I think white people are superior, that's not going to do anything. It's not doing anything. It's not resulting in anything because most people don't believe that. These people seem to operate within this position that if anyone says anything, that it's going to indoctrinate people. And you have to wonder whether these people actually believe it, or this is simply ideologues that are operating from a political lens and saying, no, well, what we need to do is lie to these people and lie about our enemies, our political enemies, and then shut their ability down to have any access to discuss their views. That way, it's only our views that permeate. You have to wonder how conscious these people are and what they're calling for. And it includes, like I said, it includes this idiot from Bitch Media. It's all the same shit. It's all the same rhetoric. It's all the same appeals. It's all the same nonsense. It's just this constant movement in this ability to manipulate language and shift. Play I forget what it's called. I don't think it's sleight of hand. It is like I forget what the phrase is, but it's like a shuffling of what the issue is and what the goals are. It's just that the means are always more power for you and more control over your enemies and more silencing of the other. That's always the means. A shell game. That's the phrase. It's a shell game of what they're actually after and what the real problem is and what it is that we're even talking about. But the means are always the same. And I was going to do a video on that and basically say that when people talk about removing the ability for someone else to speak or for someone else to have a different thought, that you actually have to scrutinize what they mean. And if they are willing to actually discuss what they mean and they can frame it in a way that it actually has some coherence to it. So you say, this specific group for this specific reason, that is why we need to do X. And you hear people say that about Islamists, for example, and there's no hesitation with what they mean by what they're saying. So in terms of, like, say, for example, shutting down a mosque, they can say, well, out of this mosque, we've had all, X, Y, and Z terrorists that have come straight from this mosque and has been raided, and we found weapons and we found propaganda calling for the overthrow of the government. And it's like, okay, then in this situation, maybe then shut down the mosque, because it's in essence just it's a terrorist organization. It's a front. But in this context, as it relates to micromanaging every single person that walks into PAX, or anyone that tweets or says anything online, there's no coherence. There's no boundaries to what we're actually talking about in terms of the problem, in terms of, like, what we're actually trying to do here. What is the end goal in this? Is it to prevent someone from being murdered? Is it to prevent terrorism? Like, what are we doing here? What are we trying to achieve with this? And it includes Pew. I mean, again, like, this is serious. And yet this whole fucking thing, and I'll link it below, and I encourage you all to read it, this whole thing begs the question, what are we actually trying to do here? And no one, from what I read of this, even asked that question. Like, do you actually think that this is something worth regulating to such an extent that you literally start removing different people's free speech? That you start policing people, literally, like arresting them and throwing them away over what their thoughts are, even if they are bigoted. No better example than Dankula in England right now, or is it Scotland? I think it's Scotland. But yeah, it's an alarming thing, and I think that it's unfortunate that even at Pew they can't manage to find somebody that, I mean, they actually did have a few alleged constitutional lawyers, I think it was, people that are civil libertarians, at least in some part. They had them on there, but they were very quiet for the extent of this. And it just begs the question, like, for some of the shit that these people are saying, how are you not just pushing back? It's always this notion of the opponents, the opposition in this. They're allowed to be as flamboyant and fucking ridiculous and incoherent as they want. But someone who's a civil libertarian and a constitutional lawyer who knows that all of this is extremely threatening and authoritarian, why do you just sit back and act like a fucking cuck? You know what the issue is here. By definition, it's what you do for a living. Why don't you intervene? Why don't you say something? Why don't you dress down these fucking retards and express to say, like, listen, you're on here talking about what you believe anonymously, talking about trying to take away other people's free speech. If you're going to say that we need to change the way that this country operates on a fundamental level, can't you have just the balls to put your fucking name next to what you're saying? And the reason why they don't is because they know that most people, the overwhelming majority, I would say, are opposed to this and easily see this as anti-American, not just un-American, anti-American. You're operating from a position to try to strip away the freedoms of American citizens for the sake of your fucking retarded ideology. That goes against everything that this fucking country stands for. You say yourself that you have no, you see no means to align yourself with American values and American principles and constitutional principles. You don't care about any of that. So let's just dispense with this notion that you're in any way concerned with the Constitution, with the American citizens, with our rights, with our civil liberties. You don't care. You're not concerned about that. You have something to virtue signal over, and what this is you operating from your political lens to have hegemony over everyone. That is what you're trying to do here. So, yeah, I was going to do a video on this talking about how serious of an issue this continues to be. I think I was sitting on these articles, and I was looking for other articles, and maybe I'll rewrite that video at some point to see if I can still salvage it. But yeah, I'll save these articles for now to see what I can do from them. But let me have a look, see if I got anything else on this list of shit. I got a bunch of shit saved up in terms of like the whole issue of the Democratic Party in the country not representing white people at all. I got a bunch of shit on that. It's just a matter of when I get around to doing that video. Let me see if I got anything else here. Oh, well, you know what? I was actually going to talk about this in a video at some point, and I probably still will, but I'll mention it here. So let me get this open real quick. Sorry. Somebody asked me about this, and I don't remember where it was. They asked me to cite this, so I guess I'll do it here. I plan on doing a video on it, and I still do, but it's whenever I can get to it. So here we have the ACLU, and everyone here has heard me talk about the ACLU before and why I'm not a member, why I don't like the organization, why I used to be a member, and why I quit. And I can tell you that about 20% or maybe 30% of what they do is worthwhile. But the damage that they have done in recent years in terms of fighting for collective rights, fighting for the rights of illegals, just completely shirking the responsibility of addressing critics to say that you should be simply just a civil libertarian organization and not a left-wing partisan organization. They've completely disregarded all of that criticism. The fact is that if you are not a citizen of the United States, if you're not a citizen, you do not have constitutionally guaranteed rights. You can have case law or rights derived from case law within the United States, but you do not have constitutional rights within the United States because you're, by definition, not a citizen. You don't have rights within the United States. The only right that you have is the right to be deported if you are here illegally. If you want to come here legally, there are means for you to come here legally. You don't have to get in a line. You don't have to get, shaken down. You don't need to get beat up and, screamed at by racists or anything. If you want to be a tourist and come here, come on over. There's nothing really going to stop you. What you need is a passport, as far as I know. That's it. Then you get to stay here for however long, but you can't stay forever. Can't work. Can't get educated. There are obvious limitations for what you can do here as a tourist. But in terms of being here illegally and being here knowingly illegally, it's something. If you accidentally overstay a visa, you're still going to have to go, and it's unfortunate, but it's still your mistake. But we're not talking about an honest mistake. We're not talking about tourists here on holiday or whatever. We're talking about people that have come to this country knowing it's going to be illegal or have overstayed a visa and know that, are aware of that fact, and do not want to leave. They want to continue to work here under the table. They want to continue to live here. Oops. Got to close Skype. It's just a matter of, what this organization should be focusing on, all right? Because if we were talking about immigrants, legal immigrants that have come to this country, gone through the process, have gained citizenship, and are now actually citizens of the United States, not native born, but now citizens of the United States and fighting for their quote-unquote rights, well, that begs the question, what rights do they have as new American citizens that every other American doesn't have? It begs the question. And maybe there is an answer to that. Maybe there are issues with new immigrants to the United States. Maybe I'm just not aware of them. But the problem is this quote, and we're going to go from here. The fundamental constitution protection, the fundamental constitutional protections of due process and equal protection embodied in our Constitution and Bill of Rights apply to every person regardless of immigration status. That is unequivocally false. And what you see here with the ACLU all over this page and all over this fucking part of this website, all over the place, is the conflation between legal residents, people that are here legally or have become citizens, so people without a visa or whatever, student visa, work visa, people here legally that are residents, new citizens, and people that are here illegally. They're not the same. They're not the same. They're not one group. They're separate groups with separate interests, with separate legal statuses within this nation. Okay, one is temporary, one is permanent, so long as far as I know, they don't do anything within a time period. And then one is a criminal group. One are not here legally. And there's no way to square this circle, no matter how much they try. And I mentioned the fact that they've been fighting for collective rights. Excuse me. Let me bring up the pages. Okay, so that was from earlier in the. Okay, so this was the big thing that they started out with after Trump became president. They challenged his immigration ban in regards to refugees. It's colloquially known as the Trump's Muslim ban. So, in terms of the attempt itself, I can say that it wasn't done well. But in terms of the stated goal, at least the attempt at trying to prevent Muslims from entering the United States through whatever means, that is something that I'm sympathetic to. Because I've said before that no matter which nation you look at that allows X amount of Muslims within that nation, it destabilizes that country. There's no way to say it other than just that. Every single country that has been overwhelmed voluntarily because they choose to do this, every one of these nations that has included hundreds of thousands, millions of Muslims into their countries voluntarily, they are now destabilized as a direct result of that. Every single one. There is not one that you can name to me, even in the last 30 years, that has not had major fucking problems because of this, because of bringing in this one group of people that are of different nationalities, different ethnicities even, but are all one religion. Every single fucking nation that has done this has had issues because of it. And so, is this the same as saying, oh man, we need to deport all the spics? No, that's not the same. Is this the same as saying that it needs to be harder to become a citizen? No, this is not the same. This is not the same thing. They benefit by grouping all of these things together. And so do the social justice warriors. So do the regressive left and the Hillary Clintonites and the rest. Everyone that is on this side of the quote-unquote left, they all benefit from the ACLU fighting for the rights of people that have no right to be here. Refugees, even by international law, have no right to be here in the United States. It is only voluntary that we take these people. It is only voluntary. They have no right to come into this nation. We have violated international law brazenly in the past, but all of a sudden, this is when we have to violate it again to bring them into the country. We can shirk international law to say, no, we need to bring refugees into the United States, even though the law says that they need to go to the next nation at peace, which is not this country. It's not Europe. We're not the next country in line that is at peace, so they don't need to come here. It's our choice to bring them in. And my opinion is that what will happen if we bring in probably more than, let's say that if we have, we go from the demographics that we currently have to, I think it's like we're less than 1% Muslim. Let's say we go to 5% Muslim in the United States. We will become France, at least the portions of this country where they have their enclaves. We will become France in Paris. We will have daily terror attacks. We will have soldiers, National Guardsmen on the streets of cities like Buffalo, poor cities where they're going to ship these people. It is an inevitability with any one of these nations, and we've seen it. It's been demonstrated. So that's one issue by itself. And I have another article here where they fight for an Afghan, and this is a little bit of a different issue. So I'll cite it anyways, just because it's a little bit of a different issue, but it's just to show you that they've continued on with this. Again, a shitty thing, but is this what your focus should be? Oh, I have to close Steam as well, apparently. Is this what your focus should be on as a civil liberties organization? When you have that story of that college campus where you have the university campus police like barricaded in their offices by a mob of students threatening violence. Is this the fucking issue we need to be dealing with right now? Is this the fucking real dilemma? So here's the thing, right? Okay. And this is what I do plan to do a video on this, and it's about corporatism. It's about these groups and what they're after and why they're doing what they're doing, and how much of this is cynical and how much of this is driven by greed and self-interest and not about civil libertarianism, not about altruism, not about good feelings and humanitarianism and all this bullshit. It's driven by fucking money. And what do you want from me? How am I supposed to counteract this? How am I supposed to counteract this group's humanitarianism? So let's go back to the beginning. So this is what they're fighting for. So what happens? What happens when Trump comes in? What happens? Civil liberties organization fighting for free speech, fighting for all the things it needs to be fighting for, never fighting for the Second Amendment, never has, never will. Ready? Boom. There we go. That is what they're fucking fighting for right now. That's what they've been fighting for since the election. That's what they've been fighting. They're going to continue to fight for. Money. Money. They don't give a shit about civil liberties. They don't give a shit that they're no longer fighting for individual rights, and now they're fighting for collective rights for groups, and how antithetical that is to this country since its founding. Antithetical to this country. And that's what they're fighting for. This is why. Money. Money. That's what they want. That's what they're getting. So when people point their finger at me and say that I'm close to Alex Jones, I'm ridiculous when I talk about corporatism. No, I'm not. Do you think this is a fucking coincidence? You really think so? All the bullshit they've been saying about Trump, and the next fucking day they raise, literally, it's like the next fucking day. Let me find the fucking article. Let me find the fucking article. Where is it? Yeah, okay, here. Okay. Ready? Ready? Let me zoom in for anyone that has hard of sight. Right here. 28th. The 28th of January. 2 fucking days later. 2 fucking days later, they raised $24 million. How does that happen? Who the fuck is donating that much money in that time period? You think it's all individual donors? You think it's all poor working class people working their 9-to-5 fucking job, supporting a family, donating $24 million to this fucking organization? You think that's who it is? I don't think it is. The ACLU is a partisan organization fighting for group rights. It is not a civil libertarian organization fighting for individual rights. You could talk about its past. That's great for its past. That organization, as it existed, is dead. The ACLU is a fucking disgrace. I quit the organization for this reason and many others. It is a disgrace of an organization. And so when people say the ACLU, it's like saying the Southern Poverty Law Center. It's a joke. This is a partisan organization that is fighting for group rights for specific people for the sake of political ideology for money. This is a mercenary group. That's what they are. They're not humanists. They're not altruists. They're nothing but a group of fucking hacks making money. That is still going to be a fucking video that I do, because I have this and several other fucking examples like it. Just endless examples of shit like this, where, you know, I'm just some guy with just some time on the side of fucking working, where all I have to do is scratch the surface of this and see that all this information pours out to say that every one of these fucking groups are just mercenary groups. They're just out to make money. They're out to support the existing organization, keep everyone employed, making 6 figures a year, 5 figures a year. Because these lawyers are not making, you know, fucking pennies. They're making a lot of fucking money doing what they do. And they do hard work, but it's for awful shit. Awful shit that flies in the face of the values of this nation since its founding. We are not a nation of group rights. We've never been that nation. Since the inception of the country, we have been a country founded on individual rights. And the separation between those two is so fundamental that any organization that purports that or fights for that group rights should be immediately rejected by anyone that has a shred of sense as it relates to the founding values of this country. You know, maybe I have to do a video where I lay that out to everyone so they actually understand how big of a deal this is. But it is something on par of the level of the dangers of losing free speech. Like, people don't understand. People don't understand how much is at stake as it relates to people fighting for at the Supreme Court level, okay, for group rights. People don't understand how dangerous it is. So we have a super chat that I got to read by Kekatardian. What is your opinion on the body slamming of journos? Mine is the same as Chris Rock's opinion on OJ. I don't think people should do it, but I understand. LOL. I think you're referencing to that Montana politician that just, I don't know if he's a congressman or a state senator or something like that. He just won an election. As far as I can tell, it was probably the journalist getting in his face and you know, being annoying, but at the same time, the guy reacting like that, especially, I think he had just won too when he did that. He was like at a party celebrating the fact that he just won. He body slams a journalist. It's kind of like, I don't know, man. That guy's kind of fucking dangerous. It goes past the point of being a hothead. You know, if things were the way they appear to be, you know, if the journalist did anything to the guy, you know, pushed him or did anything like that, and then the politician body slammed him, then it's justified. But as far as I can tell, that didn't happen. So that's my opinion on body slamming journalists. I don't have any respect for the majority of journalists. I think most are fucking scum and are either scum that lie for money, or scum that are, and that was the whole stream about Will Ripley. That was that whole fucking stream talking about that. Or they're on their way. You know, they're not currently being paid enough money to lie for a living. But, you know, maybe one day. That's what they hope for. We got another super chat. Commissar Brand says some shekels for the good boy Louis. I thank you, Commissar Brand, for your shekels. Timothy Riggs, who I believe is a conservative, said in a super chat, ACLU has been forcing law changes on through activist judicial fiat for 3 decades now. They are very political and should lose tax exempt status. Well, I mean, the thing with tax exempt status, dude, is like the whole thing when it comes to tax exempt status is just a joke at this point. And what it requires, unfortunately, and it's the same thing with, you know, it's just a wonder of how it would be managed. But there are many, many organizations, including Anita Sarkeesian, who has violated her obligations in terms of, or limitations of not-for-profit status by talking about politics when she's registered as a charity. She has violated that multiple times, and there's never been any consequences for it. And I would say that, unfortunately, it's a thing that needs to change that I don't think either side really wants to do. I think there are a lot of activist right-wing groups and certainly a lot of activist left-wing groups that do not want to start enforcing those regulations because they stand to lose a lot. And I would say that the growth of the ACLU in terms of becoming more and more partisan and activist, and they did. You have to understand that the ACLU has at some points fought for individual rights. So they weren't always a completely illegitimate organization. You may have disagreed with some of the things they went after, but they weren't always illegitimate. However, now they have completely shown themselves to be completely fucking illegitimate. I mean, they might as well go out there and start talking about Drumpf and shit. Like, they're at that point now. They might as well just do it because they're not fucking fooling anybody as far as I'm concerned, unless you have some retards out there that can't see through this completely. Okay, let me try to catch up with. Thank you for those that are in the super chat. I appreciate that. Well, here's the thing, Tim. Tim just said in the chat there should be no tax exempt status. I agree with that, bro, but that includes churches. I mean, you're a hell of a kind of fucking conservative if you believe that. You'll be a conservative I can count on my one hand for the conservatives that I've interacted with that said we should get rid of tax exempt status for every group, and I agree with that. I agree. I think we should get rid of tax exempt status. I think every organization, every business, every person, everyone should have to pay into the system. There should not be a single entity, single person in this country not paying into the system. I think it is a fundamental corruption and taking advantage of everyone else by doing that, because what you are doing is shirking your obligation for the services that you use. Churches use public utilities. Non-for-profits and charities use public utilities. The onus is that they actually have to return some sort of fucking interest for the community. But it seems to me that in most cases, you honestly have many organizations that are charities that are good and churches that don't do anything wrong. But it's so corrupt and so out of fucking control at this point that I'd agree. Just get rid of it. I don't care if there's fucking hacky left-wing organizations out there spreading lies. I don't fucking care. They can spread all the bullshit they want to. But the fact is that they should be fucking paying tax for doing it. I mean, so long as we're going to have all this Saudi money funneling into the country, at least some of it can go into the public coffers and go into the treasury, start paying for something. Charming man who donated, is that £2? Yeah, that's two. No, that is £2. Okay. The euro and the pound are kind of similar in terms of symbolism, at least for me as an American. Thank you for that, Charming. And fuck you, Charming. There's your fucking notoriety, you piece of shit. I'm not really sure if I have much else to talk about in terms of topics that I had that I wanted to do a video on. I have been talking with people about Mass Effect. I've had people bringing videos about Mass Effect to my attention, and I have a video that I've been working on, and I won't go much more into it than that, that I might talk about it. I probably for the final time. I don't think I'm going to need to talk about it again, with the exception of maybe a video down the line sometime where it's just going to be me gloating. And then everyone in Kotaku in Action will get all fucking pissy because it's so funny. I've seen it numerous times where people have said, "Oh, Louis Le Vau was right. Louis Le Vau was right," and people are like, "Shut up!" Like, "Oh, he's a fucking." There are a ton of people on Kotaku in Action that really don't like me, but I don't give a shit. I don't fucking care. I'm not really sure if there's anything else we're talking about. Actually, let me check the chat. Well, you guys have anything you want me to talk about specifically? Anything topical? Let me scroll down. So yeah, anything topical there, guys, that you got want me to talk about? What's my opinion on Creationist Cat? He's like a guy losing his fucking mind. That's my opinion of Creationist Cat. How can we solve the national debt? Well, that's not exactly an easy thing, and it's not necessarily something that I obsess over, although I would say that it would be good to have a surplus every now and then to sort of pay down that debt, to show that we're at least capable of paying it down. As far as I can tell, having some amount of debt is good for a nation, especially a nation like ours. We want other nations to be investing in our country. It helps our standing in the world. It makes us very much look like, an economic powerhouse, having so many different nations buying in, trying to have control and have a decent chunk of our debt so that they can, pretty much use it as leverage. It's not necessarily good in every respect, obviously, because they can use it in terms of leverage. I think that eventually the Chinese will start to use it, although they're not actually one of the biggers. There's plenty of allies that have a decent amount of our debt that they own. So the national debt is not something that I obsess about. However, like I said, I would like to have a surplus, and I do think that it is possible to some extent. However, it is going to mean that certain people are going to have to deal with the fact that certain sacred cows are going to have to have a little bit of a disadvantage to it. The tax breaks that have been given to the wealthy for decades and decades, there's no way to square that circle in terms of the national debt and those tax breaks that are constant. Every single fucking administration since, I mean, has there been an administration within even my parents' lifetime where they have not just spent the huge majority of that of the tax breaks that they've given, just giving more and more tax breaks to the rich, more and more. They just need, it's just one more dollar they need off, just one more dollar that they need to not pay to the government, and all of a sudden it'll save America. So that's my solution to the national debt: is one, raise taxes on the wealthy; two, there's obviously a lot of stuff we can cut, but two, probably try to constrain our defense spending to something that is more manageable, and audit the Pentagon so that we know how it's being spent to the penny. That way we're not spending $600 billion a year on fucking nothing, for all we know. It could be $600 or $600 billion well spent, or it could be $600 billion that we're literally flying to the Middle East and fucking lighting on fire, fucking Joker style from whatever the Batman movie was. We don't even know. We just don't know. So, yeah, I honestly think that we need to. Benjamin Widowson just sent a super chat that says, I'll do some channel art. Sent you an email. Yeah, I saw that. So I'll take a look, although no guarantees, bro, because I usually return to artists that I've worked with in the past, but I'll take a look. Let me see. Charming Man asks, what's your opinion on certain anti-SJWs adopting SJW beliefs like Spino and Creationist Cat? They're not the only ones. I mean, I hate to name drop the guy, but he's been irritating me. It's been Tyler Preston, man. He's been going on a tear on Twitter, and the guy's been just getting fucking reamed by a ton of people. I think I saw, it was like, I know Lord and Southern replied to him, but I think it was like Blair White too was ripping him, and it's just like, bro, what are you doing? I'm not sure what's going on. I honestly think that people are just having a really, really negative reaction to certain right-wing people being present on YouTube and being present on other people's channels and that. I can't really say that I follow Lauren and Southern that much. From what I've seen of her, I can't really say that I'm really on board with a decent amount of what she said. I've had people say that I shouldn't use the phrase identitarian because it associates with some European far-right group. I haven't seen anything to come out of that group that I should stop using that word, because that was the group that she allied with to do that fucking stunt with the flare for the refugee ship in Italy. I haven't seen anything positive out of that. So, and they are like a white identitarian group as far as I know. So I'm kind of fine with using the phrase identitarian despite people's misgivings about it, because it appears to be fucking accurate, whether I'm talking about the left or the right. And to the people that don't agree anyways, I just don't agree with the white identitarian bullshit. I don't agree. I'm not a white identitarian, and I don't stand by any of that bullshit like that. If you want to talk about Western values, you can talk about Western values, but it's not something that you can link to any kind of connotation of people being white. Their skin color. It's ridiculous. it's a ridiculous fucking concept on its face. It's something where I've had people demand that I debate them on it. I've ignored those demands. I ignored a demand by Destiny to debate him. He was apparently going around challenging a whole bunch of people, and I was one of them. And I was like, I don't fuck, bro. Like, what am I gonna get out of this? I'm not gonna fucking debate you. If I don't stand to gain anything in a conversation like that, in terms of, when I'm not dealing with someone who's an honest actor, what is the fucking point? If I'm just dealing with someone who's a fucking retard, who's just going to debate me using tactics and is not honest, or someone that's just a fucking rip-roaring goddamn ideologue, like, dude, like, I got enough shit going on in my life. If I have the option between debating your ass, where you're never going to fucking change your mind no matter what I say, or being dishonest, or maybe perhaps going on a dating app and looking for a fucking girlfriend, maybe I'm going to defer to my own personal fucking happiness. Why am I going to waste my fucking time with you? And it's one of the things where, in terms of like creationist cat, I know all these fucking idiots. I've said to Sargon and others just time and time and time again that these people ultimately, and I call them the Nat Squad. The Nat Squad. And I use that phrase and that title in terms of labeling them, because all they do is buzz around. They just buzz around, and your only means of getting rid of them is just to wave them away away from your attention, away from your focus, because they're not here to challenge you intellectually. They're not here to honestly debate you, or whatever it is, dialectic, as that one professor used to engage in trying to find the truth. They don't care. They're just here to fucking annoy you. That's all they exist to do, because that's all they do. It's all I've ever seen them do. They just exist to fucking annoy you. And with Sargon, he's the absolute worst. They buzz around him day and night. And every fucking conversation that I've had with the guy where he brings them up, I just say, just fucking dismiss them. Just do it. But his thing is, he likes to fuck with them. He likes to get on Twitter and fuck with them. And I've said that to him. I've said it to Kraut and T. I've said it to numerous people at this point. It's so easy to see who is and who is not an honest actor, who is actually trying to debate you and argue with you in an honest way, and who is just a fucking person trying to waste your time. It's so easy to see the difference. And all you're going to do with the Nat Squad and the Nats in your life online, wave them away. If they come at you with an honest criticism and an honest opinion of what's going on, and they can showcase that to you in one fucking sentence. Hey, person. Hey, Louis, I didn't like what you did here. This is why. One tweet, there you go. Then it's like, okay, here's an honest criticism. Here's an honest conversation. Here's an honest argument that I can have with this person, but they never do it. They never do it because they're gnats. They're just there to annoy you, and your only way of getting rid of them is you're not going to out-gnat a gnat. You're not going to debate a gnat. You're not going to talk them into not being a gnat. Your only option is to just wave them away. You lose nothing, you gain nothing. It's your only option. And for whatever reason, to this day, I am one of the only fucking people that can understand that. I'm one of the only people that can actually understand that the difference between someone trying to engage with you and someone trying to waste your fucking time. And I don't know if that's the difference between someone doing this full time and someone not doing it full time on YouTube. Maybe that's the fucking difference or something. It's so ridiculous. Okay, let me catch on. Okay, we got Tim coming back with another. Thanks for the super chat there, Tim. Tim says, non-SJWs using SJW tactics use them because they don't have principles, and those evil tactics work for those people. Should be cut the fuck off. Yeah, I mean, bro, that's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, even if you have somebody, like, say, for example, someone like Tyler Preston, who I don't dislike. Like, I don't think he's a bad guy, but he's engaging in the exact same shit as these other people, where they are using tactics of SJWs to just simply annoy you. They're not arguing anything, and when they do, they're operating on the position of just trying to tactically argue with you. It's not even a real argument. They're just using semantics, using playful language, trying to use means to trap you or to draw something out of you, but not to actually engage in an honest conversation. And it's so easy to see the people that are out there that are willing to engage in an honest conversation despite having disagreements. And I've been persuaded by people. I've been persuaded by people. And if you can't say that, if you can't say, oh, I don't get persuaded, I don't allow myself to be persuaded, I'm right about everything, you know, you probably are either a fucking egomaniac, a liar, or you are someone that is operating on an ideology. And in which case, you're just a fucking ideologue. You're a lunatic. And there's no way you're going to be an honest actor without being fucking deprogrammed. Because you're not holding your own individual thoughts. This is just you operating from the position of an ideology. You're just kowtowing to it. There's nothing about you actually in the conversation. It's just what you believe. It's one of the worst things about ideologues, that when you debate them, it's not any kind of personal conversation. It's like being on a stage in front of an audience with two people that are in a professional setting having an argument. That's how it is. It's cold. It's impersonal. It's just a show. Like, you don't even know if the people involved there actually believe what they believe. It's just for show. It's just to have an argument. You know, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to get engaged in that. If people want to go on a stage and have that kind of formal fucking debate, that's fine. That's not what I do. And barely anyone on YouTube does that. Barely anyone. But the problem is that people engage in those kind of fucking tactics. And that was what happened with JonTron and Destiny. You had JonTron walking right into a bear trap, thinking he was just going to have a personal conversation with somebody. And he fucking got trapped by somebody who is a lunatic that operates just on tactics. Didn't give a shit what John has to say. Doesn't give a shit about John as a person. Doesn't care. Is just looking to win an argument for the sake of winning and making the other guy look bad. It's like, I don't want to engage in that. I have no interest. I stand to gain nothing in that discussion. So why have it? You're not going to change my mind because you're not honest. Even if you are right, you're not likely going to change my mind because you're not honest. And I'm never going to change your mind because you're not honest. You're not here to learn anything. You're not here to try to glean any truth from me. You don't care about me. It's just about you. So fuck off. You know, have your own channel, do whatever you want to do there, but fuck off. I have no interest in doing anything with you. And that goes for any of the fucking people on Twitter that are dishonest or don't reply to me when I call them out. You know, if you say something fucking ridiculous and I reply to you and you just blow me off completely, that shows to me that you don't want to actually have any kind of conversation, that you're still tweeting the same bullshit minutes later. You know, it shows to me that you don't actually care. You just want to pontificate. And in which case, fine. You know, I don't have to be part of your channel. You don't have to be mine. But when people go, when these same people look around and go, oh, no one wants to be my friend. Oh, I'm being excluded or whatever. No, it's your fucking fault. Or I'm leaving the community. What community are you part of? You're the community of you. Because that's all you care about. That's your only concern. So, you know, it's just the whole thing with all these different people leaving and all this spectacle and drama bullshit. It's just ego run amok by people that are not acting honestly. And that I see as no loss. You know, if you become a fundamentally dishonest person, if you become someone that doesn't actually care what other people think, in any way, from a position of you're so saturated in ideology or your own fucking ego that you don't care about what other people that you're aware of, that you've communicated with, that you've been in streams with, that you've hung out with. If you don't care at all what they think about anything, you don't care, then fine, fuck off. And don't be surprised when no one cares when you leave. And that's what's fucking happening to Thunderfoot right now. Why he's lost like 25,000 subscribers. Because people have had enough. When you say I'm gone, I'm no longer part of this community, that it includes all these people that you like, fuck them, I'm going to lie about them. People are saying, fine. Goodbye. Fuck off. And, you know, I'm not sorry to see him go. We've lost one dishonest person. That's fine by me. I don't care when we lose people that are dishonest. Losing people that are actually decent people, that actually want to engage in a conversation and debate issues, you know, that keep them in. Even if they're right wing, I don't care. Keep them in. You can quote me on that. Quote me on that. I don't care. If they're right wing, they can stay so long as they're fucking honest and they're willing to say that they can, you know, discuss what they believe and they're willing to have their mind changed. They can stay. The people that are ideologues for the left, fuck off. Who needs you? You're not helping anybody. That's how we got here. So yeah, let me scroll down. There's your rant for the fucking video. Fucking. So yeah, that was one of the things people challenged me on, Destiny versus Naked Ape. I think I did. I know I did 2 videos on Destiny, and that was the one video I did, was talk where I mentioned that Naked Ape stream, and his fans and all that disagree. And there's a few people that say that Naked Ape didn't do well, but no, I thought Naked Ape did really well. I thought he went in there to fuck with him, and he did fucking well. That was the purpose of it, was to just throw it right back in his face, and that was what he did. Oh man. Some people saying they didn't like Thunderfoot. I used to like Thunderfoot, but it's like, I don't know what's happened to the guy. He's like completely lost his mind. I don't really understand. Like when you do the thing that what's his face did, Keemstar. There was a stream that Keemstar did where he went on stream, and he probably got angry about something and people making fun of him or something, but he went on a stream and he got really close to the mic, and he just went, fuck the fans, fuck off, like fuck. He was talking to his own audience, telling his own audience to go fuck themselves. And there are times where you are going to have to disagree with your fans because you're your own person. I totally understand that. And I would say that Keemstar, to at least some degree, has grown since then, from what I've seen anyways of him. But it's like, once you reach the point where you basically tell your own fan base to go fuck themselves, and I think that's what Thunderfoot did here. I honestly think that that's what Thunderfoot did, was he had that fuck the fans moment with his own audience, and his own audience was like, all right. And they started leaving him by the thousands. You know, once you reach that point, and this is the point of what I'm saying here, once you reach the point of saying fuck the fans, you have to take a step back. You actually have to take a step back and realize that maybe you are in the right about an issue, and maybe your fans are in the wrong, or subscribers or whatever. They are in the wrong. Maybe they're wrong, generally speaking. But reaching the point of telling your own audience to go fuck themselves means that you think that you are in every way above the fucking people that listen to you. That you are just on this fucking level of no equity. That no one can touch you in terms of the pillar that you stand upon. Just lording over others, just looking upon them, you know. It really is an ego thing. And I think that's what happened with Thunderfoot, is that he must have bought into his own fucking bullshit at some point. He must have thought himself to be some kind of true intellectual. And he lost any sense of humility. Truly lost any sense of humility. And he had the fuck the fans moment, and they fucked off. Not all, but at least a chunk of them. And I mean, you got to wonder, like, how much more can people take from that fucking channel? I saw people saying, oh, you know, I'm going to stay subscribed. And it's like, guys, like, I gave up months ago. Like, I don't know what you're holding on to here. The guy has completely lost it. You know, even if you can agree with his political opinions and all that, and I don't, but even if you agree, but you got to recognize this guy's fucking, he's got bigger issues than that. The guy's out of control. All right, let's check in with the chat. Cult of Destiny was I actually used to follow Cult of Destiny a while back, and it's pretty amazing what that guy, like, he actually had like a pretty big channel, and he seemed to be growing pretty quickly, and then he moved somewhere that had legal weed, and he just dropped off the face of the fucking earth. Like, he just never uploaded anymore, and I was just like, all right, and I just unsubscribed from the channel. I don't know what happened to him, but he really, he's another one of those cases where he bought into his own bullshit, and he really thinks he's like some kind of like major figure out there, and he really isn't. I think people have said he's done well for himself, and that's great, but you know, fame and wealth are two different factors. You could be wealthy and not famous, and you could be famous and not wealthy. And the fact is that just because you've done well elsewhere does not then mean that you are some sort of big fucking figure in some community, in some scene, in some subculture. Doesn't mean you're fucking anything. And that seems to be his problem. He seems to think like he's some big time figure, and he's fucking not. I mean, when you have a guy like Crout T, who's come out of the fucking ether, who his avatar is based on mine, came out of the ether and has blown up into a channel with like, I think 114,000 subs, despite irregular uploads, which I have no position to criticize on, but it's true for his channel. You know, it's like, if that guy is now dwarfing you and he came out of nowhere, it's like you have to actually take stock of where you are in terms of your ego. If you are humble about where you are, I mean, it says on my fucking Twitter profile, and more than just there, that my position on YouTube is no-name YouTuber. That's who I am. That's what this channel's about, being a fucking no-name YouTuber. But if you are a no-name YouTuber, you can't claim to be other than that. If you are a fucking no-name, that is what you are. When you get the subs to be something other than that, then you can say otherwise. But for now, if you have, you know, less than 100,000 subs and you're not actually engaged, because even if you have 100,000 subs, let's say, like, you still actually have to be engaged in a community of people. Other channels, you have to do collabs, you have to do other things to actually have some kind of notoriety. But if you have none of that outside of like people memeing about you on Twitter, if that's as far as an extent of your notoriety goes, like, you're a fucking nobody. And I'm fine with just saying that I'm a fucking nobody. That's who I am. But other channels need to rein in their fucking egos. It's really amazing with some of these people. No, I'm not a Trump supporter. Someone asked that question. I voted for Bernie in the primary. Here's a question by Snake56, who asks, would you fuck Naked Ape's boy pussy? So I can answer this question one of two ways, and I think I'll go for the cute way, in my opinion, is to say he has a boyfriend. And that's as far as I'll go. No, I don't smoke weed. I should copyright strike Kraut. I don't own the copyright of fucking Deal With It glasses. Kraut is a Lewis clone. That, you know, if it ever happens by some miracle that I overtake Kraut, his channel, in terms of subscribers, I will make a meme out of, you know what would be amazing? If I ever did this full time, I would definitely do a parody of Armored Skeptic. I would definitely do a parody of him. Not as like a means to like be really hateful or spiteful towards him, but just because I find him to be such like just an insufferable character, just such a self-involved egomaniac. And I know that I could do him pretty well and just meme the fuck out of it. And what I would do, and part of that would be to rip on Kraut as a clone of my channel, to call Kraut a Louis Le Vau or a Kraut Le Vau, a clone of my channel, just to fuck with him. Oh, that'd be so funny. Yeah, I know everyone's been saying. I've actually broached Kraut with the idea. I've said to him that people demanded that I go on that Western Front podcast stream. I've yet to listen to a single one, so I maybe I can tell him that I want to go on at some point and see if he can set it up with Naked Ape or whatever. But I actually have to listen to the podcast to see what it's about, so I don't break the formula too much. Let's see. Let me scroll down. Have I ever drank weed? Is that like a joke? Favorite hentai category? Favorite hentai category? Probably Yuri, I'd have to say. I don't know. I can't really. Probably Yuri. I'll just say that. I can't really think of anything else other than I guess vanilla. Although I would say that that's large. I'm not really that much into hentai. I imagine compared to other people. I find a lot of the vanilla just kind of boring. Even with the visual novels and that, usually it has to be either the story has to engage me. Easy example of that is Steins Gate. The story in that, there's very little sexual content. It's mostly about the story and the humor in that. And I like. There's a lot of visual novels that have a good humor to them, and I like that. The art's awesome like that as well. But in terms of just straight hentai, I usually have a hard time getting to that kind of stuff. But other than Yuri, I would say that that's my one weakness. Oh, Snake 56 asks, ready for a new Dragon Age game? Yeah, I'll tell you. That'll be never. Trust me, that's never happening. The day that gets announced, I don't even know what I would do if I heard about that getting announced. I'd fucking kill myself. I actually have seen High School of the Dead. I didn't think that a lot of people rip High School of the Dead as a bad anime. I didn't think it was that bad. Really goofy, but not all bad. I'm not really into I forget what it's called. I know opai is the word, but there's a phrase for anime or hentai with chicks with huge tits. I'm definitely not into that. That was definitely, in my opinion, one of the downsides of that was the huge tits, too much focus on fan service, although that was kind of the crux of the whole thing. The humor wasn't that bad that was in it. The horror wasn't that bad. It wasn't great, but High School of the Dead was okay. I actually own a shirt for High School of the Dead. That was one of the first anime outside of when I was young that I watched, believe it or not. I don't have a favorite visual novel voice actress. Fuda, people talk about Fuda a lot, and they mean it a lot as a joke. But I can tell you that the weird shit out there is the Fuda that is Yuri. That's one of those things for me that it's just oh man, I don't know if I really want to go that route. You know what I mean? It's I don't know if I want to go down this route. There might be bad things going down this route. So I usually steer clear of a lot of that kind of stuff. I'm not really too much into that, I would say. There are some limited exceptions. There are visual novels that I've played with that. And I've played visual novels, all sorts of crazy shit. But I usually steer clear of a lot of the whatever it is, nukage or whatever, however it's said. That's just for pretty much just jerking off. I think what's the name of that visual novel I bought that definitely falls in that category that I don't like? Sensei Roko. That's except pronounced correctly, likely. That one falls in that category, and I don't like it. Boring, nothing to it, no story, nothing. I wouldn't say that I have much. I play up the Lolicon thing. I'm not really into it that much. It's pretty amazing how the one visual novel, Chrono Clock, which has Syscon in it, that it's like you go into it thinking like, all right, I guess this is going to be a fucking visual novel where I go the fucking, where I just do, like, the first route I went was the incest route, the Syscon route. And I beat it and I go, yeah, I didn't like it. Didn't like it. Didn't do anything for me. Didn't like it. I just thought I thought that was humorous in my own right. Like I thought like, okay, this is gonna be the route I go. This is the first one. This is gonna be bad. This is gonna be embarrassing. I'm gonna say like, oh yeah, I was into it. I'm gonna post pictures, and it's like, nope. Didn't like it. Creepy. Way too serious. Didn't like it. And it's not the first visual novel that I've played where it's touched on incest before. And I actually played the one by Jast that's like a dead serious one that's incest. Let me go on the website and find it. I think it's under romance. Let me find it. Kana Little Sister. That's the one. It's a dead fucking serious incest one. And at least I think it's incest. It might actually be step sister. I don't remember. I can't remember if it's sister or stepsister. I'd have to go on Visual Novel Database to look it up, but that is at least the fetish or the taboo in that one. And that one, I would say it was a lot more serious, and I took it more seriously, and it was a sad story, and, you know, I liked it. I thought it was good. But it was a sad story, and that was pretty much the focus of it. And I've actually played a few that were visual novels with sad stories, and to some degree, Steins Gate is one of those kind of visual novels as well, and they weren't bad, you know. But okay, good. I haven't lost it. I had to check to see what the current watching rate was, because the last time I brought up shit like this, I lost like fucking like 60 people in a minute. So I got to be careful. I got to be careful about talking about fucking weeb shit, or else fucking everybody on the planet is just going to be like, all right, I'm out. He's done talking about politics. He's now just talking about incest fucking shit, so I'm done. All right. Yeah, I've actually debated people on the issue of Lolicon before, including Uzulu, who I've been in streams with a few times, and that I've debated him on it a bit, because even though he watches anime, he doesn't like it, and I pretty much had to defend it to him, but that was about it. Is it Orimo? However you say that horrible anime. Yeah, it was his stepsister. It wasn't his biological sister, so that's a bit different. And that show all by itself was terrible. I can only imagine. People told me that like eventually the sister gets you know, her just desserts, but I can only imagine being in a household where I had a sibling that abusive towards me, and how like I watched that anime. And I was getting literally mad watching it. I was literally getting upset watching it, because I just said to myself, how many times at this point would I have legitimately backhanded my little sister for doing the shit that sister was doing to her brother? How many times at this point would I have backhanded this fucking girl? Even if the father whoever beat the shit out of me, even if that happened, You have to set the boundary of how you are allowed to be treated by somebody. And maybe you don't do it the first second it happens, but you make it clear to that sibling that if you fucking continue to treat me in the way that you're treating me, okay, this goes beyond like tsundere or whatever, okay? If you continue to do what you're doing to me, where you are physically abusive, I'm far stronger than you, I'm older than you, I'm gonna fucking backhand you and hurt you, and you are going to forever feel the sting of my fucking 4 knuckles on the back of your fucking cheek, and you'll know from then on that you're never gonna fucking touch me again in the way that you're doing it. It's not a sensual touch. You're being physically fucking abusive. So yeah, that I legitimately couldn't make it through that show. I got to the first, I think, 5 or 6 episodes, and I had to stop. I literally stopped watching it and was like, I'm done with this. I'm never watching this again because I'm legitimately getting angry watching the show. And it shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be watching something that is entertainment. That should be taken as comedy, where you are getting fucking angry. That should not happen. Maybe that's just my weirdness. I'm also an only child, so you can, I'm not going to stop cussing. Do I have people leaving? Oh, man. I don't think it is blood related. I don't think it is. I think you're wrong about that. Just catching up with chat. All right. So I guess we can move on if this is no longer entertaining. I don't really know how much else I have to say about this because I haven't really played anything as of late. The one route that I'm aware of is Chrono Clock. I have to continue on with that visual novel before really I move on to anything else. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, people are saying in the chat that have siblings that I'm not wrong. Oh, Humongous for Senate asks, was it true that you convinced Sargon to play hentai in his VR? I got him very close. I got Sargon very close to play a hentai game on his VR set. He backed down. He basically gave up and wouldn't do it. I mean, it's pretty much like everything else where if he'll say, yeah, I'll do it, and then he never does it. It's like that with Alex Jones. It's like that with a few other things. He just backs down because he doesn't want to do it. And it drives me nuts. I got him close. I had him on the website. I had him watching tutorials. I sent him the link. He was ready to download it, and he backed out. And it's too bad because it would have been fucking amazing if him and I did a live stream or something like that in a secondary channel where he was basically playing a hentai game on VR. Oh man, it'd be so great. He doesn't have summer. I was trying to get him to play Summer Lesson, but it's not on Vive. It's on the other one. So I couldn't get. He was ready to buy it. He was ready to buy the shit, and it wasn't on it, so he didn't get it. So unfortunately, it didn't happen. A sad work story. I'm not really sure what you mean. I have not played Nier Automata yet. I have it in my wish list on Steam or whatever. Thaumatical in Super Chat said, I want your knuckle prints on my face, daddy. Well, not $2 is a little bit low. My prices are higher for that to physically abuse women. All right, you got to pay me more for that. Summer Lesson actually is in VR, I think. I think there is VR for Summer Lesson, or they're coming out with it. He's a little bit too of a normie. He's too much of a normie to do any kind of crazy shit like that, even though he thinks the opposite. Let's see here. Thaumatic? Is that how you say it? I don't give a fuck. I'll pronounce it however I want to. For $2, I'll pronounce it however the fuck I want to. Did you see that the one dating sim game that was just the guy getting cucked and being fine with it? Well, maybe if it was a dating sim where you were a cuckold for two women, basically, where you basically cucked where it becomes a Yuri game, maybe then it would be okay for me. Maybe then I'd be fine with that. But outside of that, I don't think I'd be fine with that. I'm not a supporter of cuckoldry outside of maybe that. Thoughts on the House of Cards trailer and its direction in the narrative related to Trump being elected? I'm pretty sure it's actually the opposite. I'm pretty sure that it would have been the scenario if Clinton was elected and had to face a second term. I'll probably watch it. As far as I know, it comes out in the end of the month, so I'll probably watch it. I'm not going to talk about Copper Cab. I barely know who he is. Oh man. All right. Any actual shit that we have to talk about here? I think I'm out of shit to talk about, to be honest. I'm not really, unless somebody wants to bring something to my attention. Maybe I'll check Twitter. I got a bunch of fucking shit on Twitter. See if there's any people sending me any shit. Maybe the poll about Sargon. I can here. I'll link that in the chat. This is something worth talking about. In the I did a poll, and it was almost a scientific poll. 638 votes, which isn't bad. If you didn't vote in that poll, if you overlooked it, you're a fucking piece of shit. Unsubscribe. Fuck the fans. If you didn't fucking vote in that poll. But that's the poll. And it's over now, so it's too late on Twitter. And it was 69% of the people that voted in an almost scientific poll that said, by the way, the 12% of the people that voted no, you're going to be the first in the gulags. Just to let you know, you'll be the first in the firing lines. You'll be the first victims in the mass grave. That's going to be you. And the 15% that said, I don't care, fuck your apathy, you'll be the next pile in the mass grave. But 69% of the people that voted in that poll said that they would have voted for Carl Benjamin in public office in the UK. And I very much encourage people to pressure publicly Sargon to run for public office in the UK. I encourage everyone to do that. Go on Alex Jones and run for public office. And the reason why, and he's admitted this to me, the reason why he will not run for public office is because, and this is self-admitted, he is a lazy piece of shit. And I'm not joking. I'm saying this stone-faced. That is his reasoning that he won't run for public office, because he is a lazy, self-admitted lazy piece of shit. And that is something that cannot be forgiven. I think it should haunt him until the end of time that the only reason why his famous fucking ass will not run for public office is that he is a fucking lazy piece of shit. He should run for public office. And he'll win. I would say that he would win. He would get on television. He would talk about doing Brexit. He would basically point to all the popular points. And the question would be what party he'd actually run in if he would run. And he'd probably win because he'd just have more notoriety and more charisma, natural charisma, than the fucking retard or the few retards that have running against him. He'd win, and then he'd sit somewhere in Parliament, or maybe you just sit on some sort of city council or some shit. Maybe even if it's that low. If he ran for Parliament, he'd fucking win. I forget wherever he lives. I forget the exact place that he lives, but it's a small place as far as I know. So he'd probably win. He'd be one of the most notable people in the entire area. So he'd win. And they'd probably come at him with all sorts of shit, and he'd just come back with what he believes, and he'd win. And that'd be all to it. Or he'll get the Tommy Robinson treatment and then be called a racist for the rest of his life. One or the other will happen. I like how after I told people to go fuck themselves and unsub that I gained more followers. I literally gained more followers after I told people to fuck off and unsub. Oh, it's hilarious. I have Humongous asking about the latest volume. I believe he's asking about the latest volume of Nico Para. I'm trying to remember who. I think it might have been Uzulu and I that actually talked about it. I know that one person and I talked about this. I'm not sure if it was publicly or not, about our moral dilemmas. I don't think it was Uzulu and I. I don't remember who it was. But we were talking about our moral dilemma with Nico Para and the fact that you basically are fucking special needs humanoids. I own the first volume. I could not get into it. I could not fucking get into it. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why is because it is a glorified nookage, or however it's said, visual novel. It's just for jerking off. That's all it is. I mean, there's barely any story to it. And it doesn't mean that you can't have a fluffy comedic, story, but it's like you have every single one of these cat girls just jumping on your cock at the first opportunity. And it's like there's no delineation. There's no like, okay, I go this route or I go that route. It's like, no, you fuck them all. It's a harem game. And it's like I'm not into that. I'm not into fucking my harem of special needs cat girls. I just can't get past it. So I'm sure that there's plenty of people out there that love that and would defend that visual novel series. I just can't get into it. I can't get past the fact that you are having sex with humanoids that are below the intellectual level than of your average person, and that it is in essence you having a harem of these cat girls all around you, including, weirdly, like I think it's like your little sister who owns like a bunch of them, and you fuck them all. It's so fucking weird. I played incest games that aren't as weird as Nico Para. I just can't get into it. What's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with me. What's wrong with you? I'm not, I'm not going to fuck special needs cat girls. I'm going to fuck a cat girl on my own intellectual level and nothing less. Comedic. That's a good one. I know we're delving back into weeb shit. It's chat's fault. I'm not doing this. It's chat. I'm just talking about fucking whatever. It's only been a couple. I say that, Raymond, but it's only been a Ray Mod, actually. It's only been a couple. Oh man. I think it's Tannhauser Gate says, just think of them as children. I don't think that's helping the argument there, Gate. I don't think that's helping. That's a good joke, though, if you meant it as a joke. Okay, I've seen people talking about that MSNBC thing about Kekistan. That's fake. I don't know. I'm pretty sure people are trolling with that now. It's obviously fake. So you're not going to fool me on that one. I have not watched Trigun. I'm gonna wait for chat. Ask me something. I'm gonna drink this beer real quick. I'm gonna retweet this. I'm gonna retweet Salmon here. Okay, going back to chat. I've already talked about Chadman in the past. I don't really have much to say about Chadman. I've seen his work every now and then. That's about it. I know who he is. That's about it. That's all there really is to say about Chadman. I'm not watching American Gods, no. Derek says, when you're too intelligent to fuck a cat girl. Yep, pretty much. That's pretty much where we are. Not too intellectual for your 2D biological sister. But too much for a cat girl. Oh man. E3 predictions, any hopes? Fuck. I don't know, bro. I don't have really much of all that I'm listening to. I'm waiting for them to do not Stick of Truth, but whatever the other South Park game that they've been working on. I'm waiting for them to fucking talk about it at all. What's going on with that? But outside of that, and like Red Dead 2, something like that. I mean, I don't really have much on the horizon that I can think of just off the top of my head. Let's see here. Yeah, Fractured Butthole. That's right. All right. Well, this is when we reach the time where we have to, or the royal we, where I ask you to give your final questions. I guess we're gonna have to wrap this up because I'm out of fucking ideas of what to talk about, at least for now. I'll be out again working tomorrow, but I'll likely have the opportunity to continue working on a script. And hold on a minute. Don't fucking put like fucking shit in the chat like that. I don't care if that was just a meme. Don't do shit like that in the chat. Anyways, so let's see. Yeah. So, anyways, ask your thoughts. Okay. 2077. Somebody asked. Craig Hayden asked, "You waiting for Cyberpunk 2077?" Yeah, they need to do something. I can't wait for some kind of new trailer. Little Witch Academia. I've played that before. Didn't finish it. But yeah, that was decent. It's only decent uncensored, I'll say. Far Cry 5. Didn't we? I think I've already talked about that enough. I think did we talk about that? Did we talk about Far Cry 5? I don't remember. I think we did. I'm pretty sure we did talk about it. Let me check my old. Remember. I don't remember if we've talked about it or not. Yeah, I think we talked about it in the Fallen Journal stream. I think we talked about it there. So I don't really know. All right, I'm gonna put you in timeout there. You're now in timeout there, Tom. I fucking warned you, bro. Don't post shit like that in the fucking chat. All right, I'm not above fucking banning people from my fucking channel. And if you start posting shit like that in my chat, I will fucking ban you from my channel. Don't do that. I don't care if it's a fucking joke. Don't do it. Anyways, yeah, I'm pretty sure we talked about it. But yeah, I've backed off Far Cry 5. I believe I think I've already talked about this. I believe. I don't think I was right when I tweeted that shit out. You know what's weird about Far Cry, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this when I did talk about it. If I did, I'm not sure. The fact that that no one talks about Far Cry Primal. Everyone's talking about Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4, Far Cry 5. No one talks about Far Cry Primal. And I get the feeling that no one played it. I get the feeling that no one played Far Cry Primal. I just get that feeling, and I don't know why. It may be that no one's discussing it, but I get that feeling. So if you are a fan of Far Cry 5 or Far Cry Primal, be sure to mention that in the chat. But I don't know. I'm not sure if anyone gave a shit. But yeah, I have seen the trailers. If I haven't mentioned it already, and I think I have, the black Methodist / Baptist preacher, pastor makes no sense for the demographics of that state. It makes no fucking sense for that guy to be there and what he is. So that and a few other things is what I would say highlights a bit of the suspicions that certain people have. But I am more convinced than before that the game is going to be more innocuous than a lot of people believe. Like, there's a lot of fucking right-wing people that are out there still now screaming, we need to boycott the game. I think you're barking up the wrong tree. I think you're jumping the fucking gun. Maybe in the end, it's total fucking SJW propaganda on release. Maybe that's what happens. But I would say you're jumping the gun at this fucking point. And I was one of the people. I honestly did jump the gun a little bit, and I'm sorry for doing that. I was definitely wrong about that. I love it when you become the meme police daddy. Some article said that. Bro, I don't know if it's the guy posting a meme or if the guy's legitimately tagging somebody's name and number in the chat. Like, I don't know. And my position is, if you start putting in phone numbers in the chat, I'm going to mute you, or I'm going to stop you from doing it, because the last thing I want is for people to start accusing me of disseminating people's fucking information on my live streams. I don't need to garner a reputation of being like the magnet, like, troll channel and shit. I don't need that shit. So that's my position on it. Don't post docs or even joke shit in the stream, because I will fucking mute you or get rid of it. Because I just can't tolerate that. All right, I have to have some kind of standard on my channel in terms of what I do here. I can't have that going on. Don't. I'm not fucking around. Don't do it. You know, I don't know what I need to say. Like, I'm being serious. Don't do that. I can't tell if it's you just memeing or if it's you actually giving some guy's fucking number. Like, you know, if you want to do fucking bullshit like 1-800-LOLICON, like, I don't care. But it's other shit. Yeah, I've already answered that question in terms of the VR. But anyways, let's wrap this up, guys. All right, we've been staggering a little bit now, so let's wrap this up. Let's get some final questions, and we'll end this fucking stream. No, I have not played Carol is Dead. Yeah, I know. Let's wrap this up 2 hours later. I know. Okay, so let's get, okay, we'll crack down. We're at the 5-minute mark then, I guess. Last question then. Last serious question, and that's it. And then we're wrapping this stream up and we're done for tonight. And hopefully at some point. All right, Tom R saying this is a copy. Okay, bro, I don't, like, I'm not trying to be an asshole towards you or anything. I don't know. Like, I don't know. But like I said, all I need is for somebody just to run across my channel and then see that, and like they make that a thing about me. Because there are plenty of fucking lies about people's like, look at Baron. And I'm not trying to like equate myself with Baron considering how big he is. But dude, that whole thing about 14-year-old girls and he's running around, you know, on one day doxing them, the other day fucking finger fucking them in the park. whatever bullshit they're saying about bearing and 14-year-old girls, it's all made up. None of it's true. And he has that reputation. He has a reputation of bullying little girls, and he's never done it. So, and that's what I mean by that kind of thing. Like, I know, no problem, Tom. I get it. It's just a thing, right? I'm just trying to be careful about certain shit like that, because Bearing is pretty big. He has a pretty decent sized following, but I'm just worried about that kind of thing. I'm worried. And the thing is, I ultimately can't control it. I can't control what my opponents fucking make up about me. You know what I mean? Like, if they were going to say something, it would be the lowly thing. You know, that would be the easy thing. They would say that I'm a pedophile. But the thing is that they'd have to look in their own mirror for all the pedophiles on their own side. But I'm just worried that if I ever do grow to something where I, like, let's say that I reach like 50,000 subs, I would say that I will start garnering my own Nat squad, as I mentioned earlier in the stream. I will start garnering my own Nat squad, I think, right around 50,000 subs if I ever get there. That's when I think there's going to be some sort of natural reaction to me, where people are going to start watching my videos or looking at my tweets or some shit and then saying, I don't like this guy. Someone told me this guy likes Donald Trump. He supported Donald Trump. He voted for Donald Trump. He lives in the South. He says with a sudden accent, he says, I can't take those niggers here. And, you know, we need to kick those niggers out of the country. I heard him say that on stream, and I'm going to quote him. And I'm going to take it out of context. I'm going to show all my fucking lunatic friends that, you know, this Lewis guy says the word nigger left and right, and he's a lunatic alt-righter. And go from there. And I garner some horrific reputation where even people that are like normal, friendly, decent people, honest people have to suspect, like, oh man, is this Lewis guy the fucking lunatic Southern racist or the fucking pedo lowly supporter that I've been hearing about? You know, it's the thing that you are just gonna, it's the thing that I worry about, that eventually I'm gonna garner. And I think it happens to everyone. You see it with all the bigger name YouTubers, that they eventually get their own personal squad of haters that literally follow everything that they do and just hate everything. They hate on them constantly. They make endless videos about them saying that they hate them and disagree with them. And I just, you know, I don't want that. You know, I'll take the subscribers. I don't want those people. But anyways, again, the digressing. So last question, then we're shutting down this stream. Let's see here. I'm trying to scroll up to see. Yeah, progressivism is inclusive to pedophiles at this point. Legit, bona fide pedophiles, convicted pedophiles. Oh man, they're pretty crazy. They've reached peak fucking ideological craziness. They really have. But yeah. Who is the best? Okay. Retarded question by Cynical Inquisition. And I think this is a rhetorical question, but I'm just going to say it's retarded. Who is best girl from Danganronpa? Clearly, Junko Enoshima. There's no other female in that game that is any of the games that is worth a shit other than Junko Enoshima, the only one. So that is not the final question for this stream. It should be, but it's not. Well, it's one more serious question. One more serious question, or somewhat serious question. I think I've already talked about it in a stream before that she's like a really, really dangerous yandere where, like, if she doesn't like you and you fuck her, you're safe. But if she does like you, if she even loves you, then it becomes extremely dangerous for you to fuck her, because then she would try to murder you for the sake of despair. So she is a very dangerous yandere, but she is top girl. There's a trap girl in Danganronpa. Is that like in the spinoff or something? I don't know of any trap girl. Thought. Okay, I guess this is going to be the final question of the stream here. Oh shit! Hold on. Fucking chat. I don't know if yeah. I guess this. Nah. Somebody asked. Alex Griffin asked, "What's your thoughts on the Lib Dems in the UK? They seem to be being turned into a corporatist party, or they are a corporatist party. I see a whole shitload of corporatists that are Democratic hacks praise them constantly. A bunch of like Neera Tanden, Howard Dean, like they like the Lib Dems a lot, and it's because they're corporatists. So that's my opinion of the Lib Dems, is that they are either already corporatists or they are becoming corporatists. So some Chopped Onion asks, what do you know about the brave Portland boys that got stabbed for defending Muslim girls from racism? I've heard that mentioned, but I'm not aware of that story. So, will you join live streams in the future? I'm only able to stream. I've actually turned down a few streams as of late. I've had a couple of people ask me to stream. I had someone during the stream ask me to stream. I was on a stream earlier today. I can only stream so much, and I'm only willing to stream so much. I find that if you have somebody that streams too often, that eventually people will find them, they'll find them saturated by their presence. They'll eventually get sick and tired of that person's presence. And I'd rather not overstay my welcome in that regard, because I find I have that personal standard as it relates to others, that if I see somebody's face and voice too much, I kind of get sick of them. So I limit myself to how many streams that I'll do. Oh man. Okay, so this will be the final question. Here's the final question. Do you think progressive populism is the answer? Progressive populism is an oxymoron. There is no such thing as progressive populism. 69, or I think it's even in the 70s, whatever percentage, 79, whatever, not 79, whatever the percentage of this country is that's white. When you have zero representation in terms of your programs and your platform, in your politics, if you have no representation and no regard for the majority of the country, with maybe some limited exception for making white women the victims of everything and always. Other than that, maybe, except if they're conservative. If you have no platform and no concern and no means to actually serve the interests of the majority of the nation, you are by definition not populist. You're not a populist if you don't give a damn about the majority of this nation. That you take 51% of the white demographic, which is white men, or actually 49, and you just dismiss it. They're either allies of, intersectional brown women or whatever, or they're enemies. They're patriarchs. They're oppressors. When that is your position as it relates to the majority demographic of this country, you are not populist. So that is my opinion of progressive populism. It is an oxymoron. There are no progressive populists. The closest that you're going to come is someone like Tulsi Gabbard. Is it Tulsi Gabbard? Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard. That's what I'm thinking of. Tulsi Gabbard. She is either a senator or a congresswoman from Hawaii. She isn't bad, but even there, I would still like to see her lay out the fact that the Democratic Party in no way represents the rural white vote and does not want the rural white vote. And again, just no effort and no consideration at all. Address that. And that will be my litmus test for you when you can cross the threshold into populism. Once you get on front of a stage and say to your audience that if we are going to have a Democratic Party, that it needs to try to represent the most people possible, and that the majority of this country is unlike Tulsi Gabbard. She's not white. She needs to say the majority demographic of this country is white, and in the Democratic Party, they are not properly represented. And that has been a consequence of, or that action of not representing white men, their interests, rural white men, not representing their interests has led to an exodus of white men from the Democratic Party. And that is a fact. That is a fact. I can demonstrate that. You've seen me demonstrate that in the past. And so you need to get on stage and address that fact. And until you do, you're not a populist party. You know, I'm all in favor of being a populist towards every single demographic. But the fact is that in the modern day Democratic Party, you need to address the fucking elephant in the room, and that is the fact that you have completely dismissed the majority demographic of this country, which is white people, because of their skin color. It is an elephant in the room in terms of your ideology in that party. You do not want to address it. You just want to be the colored person's party. And yet you understand, at least in some part, that that is about, let's be generous and say 15% of the country. That's not even accurate. I guess so. Yeah, 15 or so % of the country. That's the pocket that you want to represent, when entire swaths of fucking Asians and Latinos, and less so blacks, it's mostly a portion of black men. Black women are very much homogenous from what I've seen, very much. So it's about like 5% of black women that are in any way conservative. But there's more black male conservatives. But there's much more Latino male conservatives, and there's much more Asian conservatives. It's just a matter of those demographics are lower than blacks. So in the end, you're not going to win any elections with just hammering home hegemony in those racial demographics. You actually have to try to win white voters. And I can tell you that the way to win it is to stop the racial division. And I know people can say, wow, it's kind of contradictory from what you're saying. But no, if you just phrase everything from the position of, I don't care where you're from, I want to represent you. I don't care what skin color you are, I want to represent you. If you just operate from that position, you stop operating from the position that whites are oppressors and the blacks are oppressed. Stop doing that. By the way, you'll lose voters because of that. You are going to fucking rile people up because of that, because there are people's entire careers staked on that. But if you do it, you will win votes in return. But that is the harder path to take. It's a lot easier to just call yourself a fucking progressive, a populist, and not be a populist, and just talk about how, you know, the black man just can't catch a break in this country, and that we live in a white supremacist society where Asians come out on top, and Indians, not natives, but in subcontinent Indians, that non-white people make it out on top of our society, and we live in a white supremacist society. You know, you're either gonna have to fucking eventually square that goddamn circle, which you can't, or you're going to have to give it up. You're going to give up that fucking narrative. You're going to have to give up the racial identitarian bullshit and just become egalitarian. And you see people like Kyle Kulinski use that word, and they aren't. And I think that's where we're going to end this, is right there and then, because I don't think I have really much else to say, and there's some food for thought for you, so you can think about that. Raymond says whites matter more, Louis Le Vau. I didn't say that. It's the demographics. Yeah, I know. Okay, I'm ending the stream. Fuck off with that. But go to my links. Buy some shit there. Patreon's coming soon. I'll direct you to that. But yeah, the straight's over. I'm gonna end the stream on this last point. What?